Well, hello, I'm Michael. Welcome back. This is NW Outpost. This is actually a second channel I'm rolling out. My other channel is 𝗣𝗶𝗱. You may be familiar with that. This channel is going to mainly focus on like off-grid cabin builds, saunas, woodworking, rural living, things like that. So if you're interested in that content, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the new channel. This is a re-edit of my cabin build series. As you see, I'm in a cabin. This is almost done. I'm just finishing up the last little bit of interior trim. Series will be complete. So I'm going through the original content, removing it from my other channel, rolling it out on this new channel in a re-edit. New voiceovers, new editing, a little quicker pace. And this will be probably a pretty inspiring project for you if you're interested in building a tiny cabin. Always had a dream of a little mini tiny home. This will probably show you it's pretty possible on a pretty small budget. Enjoy the video. Start off with a free trailer. Start doing a little welding on it. Build some walls on it and a roof in this video episode. And enjoy the series. We're going to be rolling out this re-edit on all these until we're done with this whole build. So stay tuned. So like I mentioned, got a free trailer. Only took me a few months. I was looking on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and after a few months of looking around, I found a few potential trailers, but actually word of mouth through my friends was what tracked this thing down for free. And it needed some work, but it looked like somebody, a previous owner, was going through it trying to fix it up at one time and lost interest in it. So we're just cutting some 1/4 inch angle iron here to weld onto the sides to extend the frame so I can build out over the wheel wells and up and over to make the trailer about 7.5 feet wide. The trailer is 12 feet long, so that's going to be the build size of the tiny build. Firing up the Vulcan Omni Pro welder. This is a Harbor Freight welder I've had for many years. Seems to work really well for me. You'll see a reoccurring theme. I mostly have all Harbor Freight tools because they're affordable and they work well. This is actually the second cabin I've built basically with cordless tools. Quite possible to do that with just simple tools. You don't need the nicest of the nice and have a giant wood shop to pull something like this off. But you need some basic skills and understanding of what you're doing, which you can gain a lot from just watching videos on YouTube and reading. So you don't need everything. The sky is not the limit. Just be simple about your build you want to do. Here's the wings added onto the trailer so we can start building up and over the wheel wells. That frame had some weird parts I had to go through and gusset and re-weld too. I don't know what someone was doing in a previous project, but we're starting from here. We're adding on to it. I also wanted to hit the ground running with some fresh tires, cleaning up steel, getting ready to start coming up and over the wheel wells for the trailer tires. This allows me to build the cabin a little bit wider and build the wheel wells into the cabin body rather than have the cabin super narrow and sit inside the tires. They'll make more sense as the build progresses in this video. All right, got all the metal I put on here the other day all painted out black, still drying here. Welded up some spots on the trailer where there was just a single bolt holding these crossbars in, so put some weld on there. Got everything painted up pretty well, good enough for what I'm trying to do with it. Now it's time to start cutting some wood and laying down some boards going this way to start on the sheeting for the floor. So I bought some 2x4s actually to do the 12-foot span going down here, but I'm going to try to save a little bit of weight on this project. So I'm actually going to rip these things down to about 2 3/4 and run those down to connect the 3/4 flooring to. Because this is a tiny home on wheels on a trailer, I don't want to make this thing super heavy. I want it to be pretty manageable to tow it around. Not that I'm going to be transporting it all over. I just also want to save some weight. So instead of using 2x4s, I went for the 2x6s ripped in half. That's going to be a 2 3/4 inch wide board. Save a little bit in every process along the way. Instead of doing subflooring and pergo or anything like that, we're also going to lay this pre-finished maple flooring down. I think it's a pretty good call. I've been really happy with it. Like I said, the cabin's basically finished now. I've been working with it. It's just one kind of weird thing when you do build something like this and from the ground up and you have your finished floor in here, you got to do a little more protection to keep it in good shape. We'll get into more of that later in the video, but all in all, it's been holding up really well. Throughout this whole process, there's going to be little strategic things I do to save some weight along the process. Here, I'm just using some pretty heavy-duty self-tapping screws, pre-drilling through the wood, and then driving the self-tapping screws through the frame. Figured I might be a little further than this point on this thing, but it is what it is today. Used about 4.5 12-foot 2x6s ripped down to do all this. All right, took a while. Cut all the blocking here. And these are the 4-foot sections where the plywood's going to end. I just want to have good support because the plywood I'm using is not tongue and groove. So I didn't want it to be flexing between these 2x3s on here. So got that done. I got to run to town and get some more screws and so hopefully start on the sheeting next and start figuring out the walls. I want to give a big shout out to my friend Walter for letting me use his shop. I started on this cabin build in the middle of winter in the Northwest, and weather's predictably wet usually, so it was really nice to be able to have his shop to use it and stay dry no matter what the weather is doing outside. He also donated some of this really heavy duty black plastic for the underlayment, just in case you're hauling it down the road on a wet day. Like I said, I'm not going to be hauling this thing constantly all over the state, but it would be nice to have a nice vapor barrier there. I'm also laying down this Mylar insulation. It's very thin. It's just for the floor. Out here in the Northwest, it doesn't get that cold. Coldest it ever gets is like the 20s at night in the middle of winter, but it's usually above freezing. So that's got like an R3 value at the Mylar back bubble wrap. And here is some of that maple that I was talking about. This is 3/4 inch pre-finished. It's about $78 a sheet, but that's a 4x8 sheet. I required 3 of them for the floor. And I got these pretty handy little countersink drill bits you can get. I got it at Home Depot. So when you drill, you're drilling a pilot hole and tapered machine head fit for the screws, and just going back through there and driving in some regular wood screws into the 2x3s for the flooring. And like I said, this is completely finished material. I really like the look of it, and so far it's been holding up really well. Muscle Man just helped me here. Load up 14 sheets of 3/8. We got 12 2x4s, 10-footers.
Well, just planning to go down and work on my mini cabin project, and woke up this morning with 4 inches of snow, so I'm sure glad I'm working on my friend's shop right now, because it wouldn't be very fun working out in this.
So like I mentioned earlier, I'm using 3/8 plywood on it. I've actually bought a bunch of 3/8 to sheet all the walls and roof out of. A lot of people sheet with 1/2 inch and OSB. I think plywood's a better product, and if you weigh sheet to sheet, it's far lighter being plywood. And I jumped it down to 3/8 because, again, it was way lighter. I literally saved hundreds of pounds on this project by just making the choice to use 3/8 plywood on it. And again, for more savings, I was loaning my mill at the time to my friend Walter, and it was down at his place where I was putting this cabin together. And so I was able to take some more 2x6s. Instead of doing a single pass in each board on my table saw down there, I was able to just put 4 boards on it, do 1 pass, and get 8 2x3s out of. Again, weight savings is key on this project. There you go, 2 passes with that thing, and I got 16 2x3s basically. Reason I did this and went for the 2x6s, ripped them down, was because at Home Depot the 2x3s were absolutely awful. I mean, there was knots going through 3/4 of the wood. And this was basically about the same price. I was just gonna have to do some table sawing, and I remembered I was loaning this mill to my buddy down here, so I thought, well, I'll throw some of these on here and start ripping the studs for the walls. That was pretty quick. So this next part jumps along pretty quickly. As you can see, some photos here, a little bit of spotty video on occasion. Keep in mind, this build was going on basically all by myself, and trying to frame some walls in place, not framing them on the floor and standing them up by yourself is pretty difficult. Even trying to hold this plywood up here and get it clamped by myself was fairly difficult. Well, doesn't look like much, but it's a little bit extra difficult doing this all by yourself. If you had a partner to help you, it would be a heck of a lot easier, especially getting started on the first wall, holding up studs. And that sheeting is only 3/8. It's not that heavy, but it's kind of wobbly until you get it screwed down. Just gotta cut out the window here and start on the other wall. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. In part 2, we're going to jump up on the ceiling, finish sheeting it, get some metal on it, some flashing, install some windows and a door, and whatever else we can get on part 2 finished up. It's snowing out here. It's a little cold, so I'm going to jump back in where this cabin's warm with my little diesel heater and finish editing up this video. All right, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Consider subscribing to my new channel. Should be a lot of good videos on rural living, cabin stuff, off-grid living. A lot of content like this. Until next time, take care.